Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's quarter-final debate. My name is Katie Tran, and I am the chairman of this debate. The timekeeper is Michaela Jane. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators who are Mr. Baker, Mr. Wadlow, and Mr. Barnett. And the topic of this debate is that we should be concerned by the advance in robotics. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Trinity College. The negative team seated to my left is from Cabra, Dominican College. The speaking time for this debate is 6 minutes. A warning bell will sound 1 minute before the speaking time, and a double bell will sound at the speaking time. Please ensure that your mobile phones are switched off. I declare this debate open and call upon our first affirmative speaker, Sophie Paravia.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sophie and I will be your first affirmative speaker this evening. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should be concerned by the advance in robotics. We define we as humanity and modern society. We define should as a logical or reasonable reaction to the facts presented. We define concerned as being wary and conscious of. We define advance as the progression of quality and content. And we define robotics as the branch of technology that deals with the design, construction, operation, and application of robots, which are classified as any machine that can carry out its purpose task with little to no human assistance. Overall, it is a logical reaction for humanity to be wary and conscious of the progression in quality and content of the branch of technology that is responsible for the design, construction, operation, and application of robots. We, as the affirmative team, believe this statement to be true. As the first speaker, I will speak about how the advancements in robotic weaponry and the combination of artificial intelligence and robotics should be posed as topics of concern when addressing their impacts on the human race. Our second speaker, Brianna, will discuss the psychological and well-being impacts the replacement of human roles by robotic substitutes would have on society. And our third speaker, Olivia, will rebut and sum up our team's case. Moving on to my first point. The advancement in robotics should be a concern to the human race, as the progression of robotics without regulation can and has led to the further development of lethal autonomous weapon systems. According to the Future Life Institute, lethal autonomous weapon systems are weapon systems with the tools and capabilities to end human lives. This technology has raised major concern in the passing months, with countries such as Israel, Turkey, South Korea, and Russia reportedly deploying weapons with autonomous capabilities, as stated in an article published by Foreign Policy in May this year. There is a surprising lack of concern about this use of robotics, and though the United Nations debated banning automated weaponry in 2021, they did not reach a general consensus, with military powers preventing a majority vote from occurring. Robotic advancements in drone technology have shown that drones can and have been used for violent purposes, such as the slaughter of over 400 civilians living outside of war zones in Pakistan in late 2012, as an article published by the BBC in 2013 states. This advancement of robotic weaponry should cause concern. These innovations are making it easier to slaughter innocent civilians, such as 68-year-old grandmother Mamana Bibi, a civilian casualty who died in a drone strike in October of 2012. The field of robotics has advanced quicker than anyone could have predicted, with a market worth over 61 billion Australian dollars. A field that has grown this fast and that can have such dangerous and inhumane outcomes should receive more decisive action than an inconclusive UN meeting. It should cause concern for the ethics and morality of robotics. Moving on to my second point. The programming of AI in robotics can lead to ideologies of racism and sexism being implemented into programming and actions. The advancement of robotics has led to the implementation of AI in many systems. An artificial intelligence can be classed as any kind of artificial computational system that shows intelligent or complex behavior that is conducive to reaching goals. AI and robotics are commonly combined in modern robotics to create robots who adapt based upon human interaction and experience. Which is why it is important now more than ever that AI is up to standard where it can be depended upon in this way. And ladies and gentlemen, it is safe to say that AI is not up to this standard. A study published by the Washington Post showed that when scientists asked robotic AI to select the criminal from an array of faces, the robots repeatedly chose the face that belonged to a person of color. Additionally, when asked to predict a person's career, the robots were found to predict stereotypical careers based on sexist and racist prejudices, such as a teacher or a nurse for a woman and a janitor for a Latino male, Not only were the robots wrong, but it became clear that much of their programming was based in outdated mindsets. Most artificial intelligence programs are based off of or work in conjunction with existing code libraries, known as open source libraries, where most of the contributions have been written by white males, who are the main demographic in this field. According to the Career Expert Statistics website, 67.3% of robotics engineers are white, and 93% of them are male. To solve this problem, systematic rewrites of AI open source libraries need to occur. Those take time, and those take money. And according to Andrew Hunt, a postdoctoral at Georgia Tech, people and organizations have decided it's okay to create these products without addressing the issues. We as a society should be concerned by these stereotype-derived artificial intelligence systems, which have the potential to harm minority groups and women. We should be concerned about the application of these systems in robotics. It would be unsafe and unethical to show no concern. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we should be concerned with the advancement of technology, as the progression of violent and automated robots can lead to destructive, unethical, and inhumane consequences, both present and future. Thank you.
I call upon the first negative speaker, William Lamb.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should be concerned by the advance in robotics. We, the negative team, disagree entirely with this statement. As the first negative speaker, I will discuss 2 points. First, that robots are the next revolution which will develop our lives. And second, that robots are in fact helpful to people with disabilities. Our second negative speaker, Luke, will discuss how robots can help fill the labour shortage, and that robots are already a necessity in scientific and technology research. Our third speaker, Lucinda, will rebut the affirmative team's points and sum up our team's case. We agree with the affirmative team's definition. The first affirmative speaker has told you that lethal autonomous weapon systems are a danger to society and a basis for concern about robotics. However, these weapons were launched and established by people who were arguably to blame for the deaths caused by laws. Once again, the point that AI, and the first affirmative speaker also tried to tell you that AI can be considered racist. Once again, the point that AI can discriminate is flawed. This is because it is based on a much larger extensive systematic problems. This is not the consequence of AI itself, however, it is the consequence of the programmers. On to my first point, which is that rather than being concerned about the advance of robots, we ought to embrace the opportunity for the technology to develop and liberate our lives. In preparation for this debate, it is highly likely that everyone used a search engine to find research on this topic. As it was an automated machine that gave results pertinent to our queries, we all willingly used a robot in preparation for tonight's debate. We already are embracing robots to make life easier and should not be concerned about their advancement. This situation with robots can be compared to the Industrial Revolution, when the job market changed dramatically due to mechanization. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, at this time, despite great fear of mass unemployment, industrialization actually created many more jobs. Today's robots are again changing the job market. One example being that robots can work in places where it is too dangerous for humans. TechWalla states robots are being used to test radiation levels in Chernobyl. Forbes details that robots were used during the COVID-19 pandemic to clean hospitals, both examples of work too dangerous for humans to conduct, but nevertheless a necessity. Hospital employees were redeployed to clean non-COVID-19 areas more frequently to stop the spread to those parts of the hospitals. NASA detail on their website that using robots such as the Mars rovers for space exploration means that missions can last longer and travel further into the solar system because they are not constrained by the human lifespan. According to Think Business, robots are entering industries where it is dangerous for people to become inattentive through boredom, which leaves people more time for empathetic, creative, or thought-provoking work. Change is always happening. Robots are the next revolution. The advance of robots seeks not to inhibit human endeavour or employment, but to instead elevate the human experience by liberating us from dangerous or mundane tasks. For these reasons, we should not be concerned by the advance in robots. On to my second point, which is that robots are able to help people with disabilities which can only benefit the greater society. According to the New York Times, social robots have been invented that are able to help teach social and educational skills to people with ADHD, hearing impairments, Down syndrome, and autism. The professor who helped build these robots makes it clear that these robots will not replace carers or teachers. However, they help professionals to be able to interact with children. This enables teachers to help the children with their social skills by talking about what they have done with the robot. This is even more pertinent in today's society because 1 in 54 children is diagnosed with autism, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The New York Times further states that robots are also being used to help people in wheelchairs with disabilities, which mean they cannot use a joystick. The robots look for eye movements to control where the wheelchair goes. These wheelchairs also have IR sensors and ultrasound sensors to prevent collisions. It is an undeniable fact that robots are therefore helping to make the lives of people with a variety of disabilities more rewarding and enjoyable. Necessity is the mother of invention. There must be a real need for such robots for these projects to be developed and financed. These disability-aiding robots are another example of robots working for us to make our lives easier and society more productive. In conclusion, we should not be concerned about the advance of robots. Robots will make the lives of humans easier and safer and help people with mental and physical disorders. Robots are the next revolution. Robots will create positive change to liberate our lives by working for us to develop the human experience. Do not be concerned by the advance in robots. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Brianna Golder.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the topic for tonight's debate is that we should be concerned by the advances in robotics, and we, the Affirmative team, strongly agree with this statement. My name is Brianna, and tonight, for my first point, I'll be arguing the impacts robots have on the workforce, and for my second point, I will stress the fact that robots are causing us to lose our humanity. The first speaker said that AI prejudice was a result of programmers, but if we don't have people with equality in mind designing our robots, we should be concerned. Also, as per definition, computers are not robots because they require majority human input, therefore are a machine, not a robot. The first speaker said that robots assist those with disabilities and act in carer roles. While this rebuttal doesn't cause concern, a feedback-based study conducted by MIT found that while robots may make the lives of disabilities easier, it makes the lives of workers harder. The robots were often clumsy and acted like another person they needed to take care of. For my first point, I'll be arguing the impact robots have on our workforce economically and psychologically. Robots should be causing concern for the billions of workers who in the next 5 years will be out of a job. Recent data released by UN predicts that within the next 5 years, more than 2/3 of developing nation citizens will lose their jobs to a robot. These machines will be taking the jobs of the most impoverished citizens in the world, people who cannot afford an education to secure a high-level job. Majority of these citizens have very little educational skills to take them further than a career in a factory. In fact, according to the World Bank, in majority cases of extreme poverty, the average daily income of these households does not surpass $2 a day. This should be concerning. This should be concerning to the millions of families across developing nations who will be unable to support themselves when they are no longer needed in their jobs. This will have deleterious impacts on third world country citizens and economy, and we should be concerned by this. Closer to home, advancements in robotics are impacting the health of workers who have to work amongst them. Recent research has brought to light the mental impact of workers being replaced by or forced to work amongst robots. Researchers from Villanova University and Ball State University identified an alarming link between human mental and physical health with the percentage of robots in a workplace. Data showed that for every 20% increase in automation in a workplace, doubled the pernicious impact on workers' general, physical, and mental health. Mental health impacts majorly stem from workplace insecurity when workers' achievements are overshadowed by novelty and speed of robots, and the insecurity that their job could be very easily replaced by a machine. This is concerning to the millions of people globally who have to work amongst robots. For my second point, I'll be arguing how the pervasion of robots in our society is encouraging corrupt sexual mentalities and reduction of empathy in our society. Both ideas are linked to the fact that robots are causing us to second-guess our humanity. The advancements in robotics is seeing the increase in interest and development towards sex robots, specifically child sex robots. These machines are already a topic of interest and controversy, as while they look human, they do not require consent and continue to uphold oppressive beliefs about women. But the problem is quickly escalating to much darker and deviant issues. These child robots have been designed to act and behave like children around their owners, which according to Volume 9, Issue 1 of the Journal of Applied Philosophy is causing moral philosophers to be highly apprehensive and concerned for the future of robotics. The sex robots in general challenge how we think about personhood, human relations, moral character, objectification of and violence against women and children, and consent in sexual relations. But the child sex robots are on another level. The manufacturers of these robots profit off and encourage pedophilia and child molestation, and the journal stresses the idea that it will encourage behaviours that threaten real children. This is a concerningly under-researched, unrestricted, and underestimated branch of advancing robotics. This is concerning on a repulsive level. And for my final argument, robots advancing our society will decrease our ability to feel empathy as humans. Adjudication medical journal published by the National Library of Medicine in 2020 highlights a major social change that will occur as a result of advanced robotics. These social changes will be paradigm shifting, meaning it will change the way humans perceive the world and will disrupt the way humans live in communities. The journal predicts that human relations and closeness will diminish as AI begins to replace the need for humans to interact, collaborate, and share ideas, and as a result, reduce humans' ability to function socially and express empathy. The concept that humans could lose empathy is frightening. Empathy is what makes humans human. Empathy is our humanity, and without it, humans would have been unable to evolve as a society in ways that no other living creature on Earth has ever been able to do. Our ability to empathize and have self-awareness is what separates man from animal, but advanced robotics in our society has a very high possibility of taking that away from us, and this is very concerning. To conclude, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we should be concerned about the advancements of robotics as it's threatening the jobs of those who need it most, is creating poor work environments for people who work amongst them, and threatens our humanity in ways that we have never seen before. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Luke Searle.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should be concerned by the advance in robotics. We, the negative team, strongly disagree with this statement. Our first speaker, Will, has already discussed how the introduction of robotics in dangerous industries has supported current employees and how it is actively supporting those with disabilities to take care of themselves. I will rebut the second negative speaker and be discussing how the assimilation of robotics into industry and manufacturing can help resolve the labour shortage, and how artificial intelligence and robotic machinery are currently a necessity in the advancement of scientific and technological research. Our third speaker, Lucinda, will be rebutting the affirmative team and summarise our case. The second speaker has told you that robotics can be clumsy and harmful in the workplace. This topic is, of course, about the advancement of robotics, not about the current state of robotics, negating their point. They made the point that wages would decline in third world countries from increased automations. But, considering the location of these third world countries and their economic state, can automation really be a realistic opportunity in these areas? And their second point is that pedophilia can be extended by robotics. We completely disagree. We completely agree with their statement that this is, of course, horrible. However, this point is invalid to the wider scope, which is the advancement of all robotics, not just this one specific branch of robotics, which we, of course, disagree with. And the second speaker negated to note that a commonly considered restriction of robotics is creativity and empathy, which is exclusive to humankind, which negates their third point, which was based on the ignorance of this fact. My first point is that, when applied to current industries, especially manufacturing, robotics can help ease the labour shortage currently placing a burden on both employees and employers. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the unemployment rate is at an unprecedented rate of just 3.4% as of this year. This is incredulous, considering modern economists consider an unemployment rate of 4% healthy for a functioning economy. This has created an issue for employers, however, with 480,100 job vacancies as of May, higher than the 473,000 people looking for work, with chances of filling these vacancies effectively eliminated by standards of qualification, kind of employment, and location. Therefore, a substitute for this shortage of workers must be found. What can absolutely be argued is that robotics can fill this gap to the benefit of both sides of the problem. According to The Independent, robotics can assume the roles of employment that people don't want, usually ones that are notably repetitive and unfulfilling. The manufacturing and warehousing industry, both nationally declining industries with high labour shortages, could take advantage of this to an extreme degree. By installing robotics into the everyday activities of their current workers, they can support their own employees to manage and take care for their workplaces, with the beneficial help of robotics to remove the more manual and physically straining parts of their employment, lifting productivity by a massive degree. This can specifically be applied to the previous point that Will made, as the aged care and disability sectors are in dire need of support. Filling the worker shortage in this industry is essential for it to function properly. and the current rate of people entering the workforce and filling these positions simply cannot sustain the extent that the network needs to be expanded by. According to Nature, the concept of installing robotic devices in aged care isn't outlandish and can help connect the elderly to remote medical services, friends and family, and provide basic services that can easily be achieved without the help of support workers to reduce strain and effort required currently. All around, the furthering of robotic technology can only benefit the current working population and the people not working. My second point is that without robotics, adventures into further technology would be greatly reduced. The most obvious example of this is the Mars rover missions of Spirit and Opportunity. These two missions, which involved the use of semi-artificial intelligence controlled in a remote environment for over a decade, simply could not have taken place without the use of the robotic rovers that worked missions and unlocked secrets to extraplanetary information we are continuing to learn about. The use of robotics should, therefore, increase in the future for scientific purposes to achieve what humanity simply cannot. However, the Mars rover is the most basic example of the use of robotics in science. Depending on the definition, robotics can also be defined as artificial intelligence, which both of the teams have embraced. Programs using artificial intelligence, which are applications that use pre-programmed algorithms, are used today. The search engines our teams use to research this debate used artificial intelligence themselves, just like Will pointed out. If we furthered the work in the artificial intelligence field, this technology could be wielded further to discover, realize, and create content that humanity can enjoy and learn from for years to come. Wider society can greatly benefit from artificial intelligence's tendency to beat humanity out on the dissection of information, but not the comprehension of this information, effectively enabling the greater and smaller scientific community to a much larger degree than previously, and just amateur people. In conclusion, the benefits of furthering robotic technology vastly outweigh any downsides. They used to fill the labour shortage and increase productivity, and the ability to further scientific discoveries can enable humanity to take the next step, effectively creating a second new robotic revolution in comparison to the Industrial Revolution. Thank you.
Call upon the third affirmative speaker, Olivia Golder.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should be concerned by the advance in robotics, and we, the affirmative team, believe this statement is true. The first negative speaker has said that the laws were responsible for the deaths caused by automated drones. However, it contradicted our first speaker Sophie's entire speech, which stressed concern about how unregulated, dangerous, weaponized robots are. The first speaker also said that robots are liberating us from dangerous experiences, which also contradicts our first speaker Sophie's speech, where she quoted an article from the BBC where robots were responsible for the slaughter of 400 civilians living outside war zones. The first speaker said that new jobs are being created by robotics. However, a 2020 World Economic Forum predicted that robotic advancements into the workforce would globally displace 85 million jobs in the coming 5 years. And while the forum also predicted the creation of 97 million jobs, the displaced jobs come from the more vulnerable minorities in our society who cannot afford to work like a middle-class, educated citizen, as explained by our second speaker, Brianna. A 2020 study co-authored by an MIT economist found that within industries adopting automation and robots, the average displacement from 1947 to 1987 was 17%, while the average reinstatement was 19%. However, from 1987 to 2016, displacement was 16%, while reinstatement was just 10%. Employees are losing their jobs to robots, and new ones aren't appearing. Ultimately, we're taking jobs from from uneducated factory workers and providing new jobs for the next education of highly educated robotic engineers, which is concerning for the economy of third world countries. The second speaker said that robots work more productively. Unfortunately, this means that companies are investing in robots to cut costs and ultimately cut workers. Research conducted by MIT found that for every robot added per 1,000 workers in the US, wages declined by 0.42%, and the employment to population reduces by 0.2 percentage points. In America alone, robotic additions to the labour force have seen 400,000 people displaced from their jobs. So while we acknowledge that robots increase productivity, this is because they have advanced to perform tasks at a rate not comparable to humans. And for us, this inability to compete with the productivity of robots is forcing more and more of us from our jobs. For example, the ABC reported in the industrial workforce, robots eliminate an average of 1.6 jobs, which is a disproportionate toll for lower skilled workers and on poorer local economies. Rather than filling our workforce with these advanced automated machines, we should be concerned about the impacts they have on real human lives. We are and will continue to be devastating the lives of thousands of workers when we replace human jobs with robots that work at a rate that we simply cannot compete with. Our first speaker, Sophie, discussed how advances in robotic weaponry combine with artificial intelligence and pose concerning threats to humanity. She emphasised that robotic advancements like automated weaponry are very poorly regulated and incredibly lethal. Our second speaker, Brianna, emphasised the negative psychological impacts that occur when replacing human roles with robots, and ultimately the impact this has on middle and lower class workers. She stressed that an increase in popularity of robots everywhere in everyday life has concerning social consequences, and highlighted studies which demonstrated how advances in robotics will decrease human empathy. The advances in robotics are being controlled by those who can afford to replace us. If we choose to ignore the way our society is steadily advancing into one where wealth, power, and military control is given to the minority who own robots, these issues will only continue to grow. We're being programmed by these machines to act unaccountably, anonymously, and abusively, and by replacing the fabric of our society with robots, we're losing what separates man from machine, our humanity. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Lucinda Carrison.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that we should be concerned by the advance in robotics. As the negative team, we disagree with this statement entirely. Tonight, our first and second speakers have already presented to you our team case. And as third speaker, I will rebut the affirmative team and summarise the arguments of my own team. To begin with, the first speaker claimed that an advance in robotics can lead to lethal autonomous weapon systems. However, this concern should be applied to the governments which allow for this to happen, rather than the robotic technology. It can be seen that when you give a person a knife to cut a cake with, it is not scary. However, give the same knife to a serial killer, and the opposite is true. The same can apply to robotic technology, because as our first and second speakers have explained, there are many positives to robotics and AI. Hence, the concern should not be towards the technology, but rather the people we put in power to misuse it. The first affirmative speaker then went on to state how programming in AI can lead to racism and sexism, claiming that this programming is outdated. However, the very nature of the topic, that being an advance in robotics, is that the technology will continue to evolve. Ultimately, this issue is due to the systematic inequalities rather than heeding a concern for AI in general. The second affirmative speaker then went on to claim how impoverished people will lose jobs. However, we can see that this shift towards robotics in the workplace will not be immediate or instantaneous, as our second speaker explained, particularly due to expense at the present time, allowing for recovery in these areas. The second affirmative speaker then went on to discuss how an advance in robotics could lead to a reduction of empathy and advance in sex robots and moral concerns with this. However, she said herself that this was an under-researched area, meaning that before we jump to conclusions about the possible wide-stretching effects of such robotics to the whole area of advancement, we must take into account all the facts. The second affirmative speaker concluded by saying that an advance in robotics could result in major social changes and disrupt human relations. However, as robotics advance, so will humanity to combat the issues they face. Key human qualities can be maintained in side-by-side collaboration with robotics. The advance will not be immediate, will not be an immediate isolation, hence we should not be concerned. The third speaker then rebutted against our first affirmative speaker's point of robotics taking people out of dangerous jobs by saying that robotics remained responsible for the slaughter of many. However, this point was irrelevant, as our first speaker's point was not to do with murder, but with removing people from dangerous jobs. She then claimed that humans can't compete with robots. However, most robots run on narrow AI, meaning that they are only trained for a specific job, which they may indeed be better at than humans. However, they do not have the wide range of skills that humans possess, meaning that there will always be a place for humans in the workforce. Now I will summarise my team's case. Our first speaker began by explaining how robotics and artificial intelligence technologies make our lives easier. He also discussed how robots can be employed for use in jobs too dangerous for people, allowing for situations to be dealt with without risking lives. Our first speaker then went on to explain the positive impact robotics can have on the lives of people living with disabilities and mental disorders, discussing the use of AI in the classroom and robotics for assisted movement. Our second speaker then detailed how robots can be a solution to the current labour shortage, filling gaps where there are simply no workers to be found. He then explained that advancements in robotics are necessary to the forward movement of humanity as a whole, discussing that development without progress in the area would be limited at most. In particular, he stressed that scientific advancement relies heavily on the continued updating of technologies, including robotics. In conclusion, it is clear that we should not be concerned by the advance in robotics, because this progress can take people out of dangerous jobs, assist those living with disabilities or mental disorders, help fill the labour shortage, and play a key role in scientific development. Despite the movies and literature that sell dystopian futures of humanity overrun by robots, we have to remember the science fiction nature of this content. Overall, we can see in the real world that robotics are key to humanity's livelihood, and fear-mongering over impossible what-ifs is unproductive, because at the end of the day, we are in control, as explained by our first and second speakers tonight. Ultimately, we find the advancement of robotics to be directly related to the advancement of humanity, which is certainly not a case for concern. Thank you.
The adjudicators will now finalise the results.
Most of the time I remember what I can stick my desk till I do it. So still a pound for the town. Yeah. No, I'm getting independent personal life. Why don't you do that? Where's my hand? Why don't you do that? I'll get the best speaker. He's just getting the best speaker award. Oh, you've got it. I can't do it. It's got a couple of times. No, I'm sure it's up from right. You're the ones you want it. You got nothing else. You want it. You know, just pull it out. You know, just let it out.
Because they're on.
Give it a smile.
It's still, it's a good sign. It was a good debate, wasn't it? Very good.
Which side do you reckon it's first?
It's hard. I think they were pretty even, to be honest with you. Really.
Very difficult.
They each made, really good points.
The minute he's really not doing that.
It's very hard because, it's very hard to be against it. And
There's pros and cons on both sides.
It's good and bad all round.
I've been out for so I didn't know that there was systematic racism and this is what I'm doing. That's what it was meant. Oh, there's a problem because
They must be very even, otherwise it'd be clear cut they'd have it done by now.
I invite a representative of the adjudication panel to come forward and announce the results.
Good evening, everyone. This is a high standard of debate this evening, and both teams are to be congratulated for getting to this point in the debating season. Tonight is a panel adjudication. There are three of us, and so unlike a regular debate where we normally give speaker by speaker critique, there'll be no individual feedback tonight. And what's happened is the three adjudicators tonight have arrived at their decision independently of each other. We've all scored our debate, and so we won't also get to see the scores either. But we can tell you tonight that it was a split decision. It was 2-1 in favour of the negative team. Congratulations. Tonight's debate was awarded by the split panel for more relevant arguments and better use of evidence, and a rebuttal slightly stronger from the negative team. So congratulations, well done. Tonight the panel have also conferred to give a Year 10 Division Debating Award, and tonight it goes to Luke for excellent debate. I'll hand back over now to the chair and to the successful team going through. Your next debating topic will be available shortly. So congratulations, well done.
Good job.
I call upon a member of the runner-up team to get a vote of thanks.
I'd like to thank the parents and caregivers for bringing us out to the debate tonight, the adjudicators for scoring our debate, the opposition for putting up a great debate, and my team members. Yeah.
I call upon a member of the winning team to second that vote of thanks.
We'd just like to begin by thanking our audience and parents for coming out tonight, Chairman and Timekeeper for facilitating this debate, the adjudicators for taking time out of their day to judge our speeches, and most of all the affirmative team. You presented a brilliant case tonight, and we thoroughly enjoyed debating against you, so thank you for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare this debate closed.